Welcome to the Write Like a Badass podcast. Laurie Kirk has been writing since 2022. She's also an actor and a mom of five, and she's got the cutest little old man pug named Frankie. Laura says her imagination was in overdrive since she was a child, and it still is. She has a sentiment in her bio that I love. Dreams never die. They just wait for you to catch up with them. Laurie lives a country life with her family in the beautiful Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania. I have been there. Beautiful. Her first novel, Baby Marvin, is a psychological thriller. It is being published, will soon be ready to scare the pants off readers based on the TikTok videos I've seen about it. Welcome, Laurie.
Thank you, Maureen. It's so great to meet you in person.
I know, and almost in real life.
Sort of, yeah.
Laurie, Baby Marvin looks terrifying, and you seem like you have a sunny, positive personality. What about the dark side of fiction appeals to you?
Well, it's more about the layering of the individual. Marvin is he's a really great person. Probably from the characters that I've written, he's the most genuinely good, kind person I've ever written, but he gets pushed too far. And that's it's kind of what I want the reader to kind of go through Marvin's experience with him and find out what would it take or think, what would it take to push me too far? Would I do what Marvin's doing? Hey, I might. Somebody might cheer him on. Some person might say, oh, that's a bit far. So it's just about, it's more about the layering of the aspects of ourselves
I,
instead of because we all have it in us to protect ourselves physically. And even in a situation, I mean, you mentioned my pug Frankie. If somebody was coming after Frankie, well, they might end up in a horror novel on the bad end of me. So, you know what I mean? There's things that push you too far, and there's this line between what is necessary to do and what maybe you don't have to do, but maybe they deserved it. It's just sort of this weird balance that I wanted to explore with Marvin.
he sounds like a more complex character than I'd realized. I kind of thought, psycho because of the cover,
Oh,
which we'll talk about.
yeah, the cover.
But he had to get there, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he's 18 at the story. He's just turned 18 and has lived really mostly a good life, but events just cascade on him after his 18th birthday. Lies are exposed, family secrets come out, and some tragedy strikes people he loves very much, and it just piles on and piles on and piles on, and it becomes too much for him.
Now, Laurie, you're an actor, and I want to hear more about that. But first, did your acting experience inspire your main character in Baby Marvin because he is a former child star?
Well, it really, in that case, it didn't necessarily. Marvin, a lot of baby Marvin, the 4-year-old child, because Marvin in the book, he was a 4-year-old spokesperson. He was the face of President Dwight Eisenhower's Safe Driving Day, 1954, because the novel takes place in 1968 when Marvin's 18. So back in 1954, he was the little face of this campaign for a year. So his picture would have been everywhere. He would have been in parades. He would have been things like that. And it was all based on my son, Christopher, my youngest child. When he was very small, he did some theater. And, he was, of course, cute and adorable. And I thought if he wants to do it for a career, he didn't, as a matter of fact, he didn't, which whatever's fine. I just want him to do what he wants. So the character was based more on my idea of my little son just doing these performances as a small child and then growing up. And I thought, well, what happens when somebody just leaves that behind, settles into a regular life, and then their life just goes out of control? Their normal life goes out of control. What happens to them? And Marvin, at the moment of truth, at the moment of when he decides to take those really aggressive steps into darkness, he recreates the baby Marvin makeup that his mother had put on him as a young child. He puts the red dots on his cheeks and he puts the little one on his nose. You'll see it in all of my marketing stuff. That's my son on the all the videos and
Oh,
marketing stuff I put out. That's my son. That's Christopher.
wow.
He's a trooper. He's amazing. And so that makeup when he was baby Marvin, his mother to set him apart in the audition, she said, "Let me just put some little munchkin like clown like little cuteness just to give him an edge," and that kind of gave him the edge. And when Marvin 18 starts to slip into darkness, he applies those dots, those that touchstone from childhood that kind of he's trying to reach back into his innocence, but it's also a symbol of where he is now and his juxtaposition of those two elements of himself and just kind of fighting with himself.
It's kind of a creepy look for an 18-year-old too.
Yeah, and if Marvin wears those dots, it's not good. Not good.
Well, what was your writing process like? How long did it take you to write this? When did you squeeze writing into your day? Because it sounds like you're a very busy woman.
Well, my kids are grown, so my writing career is now this is my time. So now I'm doing career stuff. The raising is over, so I do have some time on my hands. The book came out of a screenplay. I wrote the screenplay about 2 years ago. So I had the story, beginning, middle, end, going into the book. My manager, James Moore, he's also his company, Dark Anthem, is also publishing the book. He had said to me he'd read the script a couple of years ago and he said, "This is great." He loves it. And so we kept in touch and eventually he said, "Turn into a book." So the script, I put most of the meat of the script together in about a month, and the book it was a couple of months because I had the essential story. It was just fleshing it out. So my process was a little different. I wasn't starting from scratch. I had this story and I added a couple of characters for the book and just sort of expanded a lot of stuff, but the general idea was there. So my timeline's probably a little quicker than most people's.
Yes, it does sound like it. That's amazing that you had the story already in place, but in a different form.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Dark Anthem Press because I did look them up, and they're not a trad publisher. They're niche, and it's interesting. They specialize in book to screen properties that defy convention in the thriller and other genres. So, are you still hoping for that screenplay to get made?
Oh yeah, that's the goal. I mean, I've become really invested in the book and I want the book to do well. I don't want to it's not as though, oh, I don't care what the book does, it's just made and then we'll just sell the screenplay. I really want the book in people's hands. But yeah, that's the goal, is to have the film made. That's always been a goal. James is gonna be working on that for me as soon as humanly possible. But now I own the IP. So I have what he always said was write the book and then they can pay you twice. They can pay
Yes.
you for rights and then for the script. And I said, well, oh shoot, why not get paid twice?
And a book that sells well is going to get the attention of Hollywood a lot more than just the screenplay itself.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. And I really enjoyed writing the book and I'm really happy with it too. It's not just a means to an end for me. I'm really passionate about the book itself.
It's
And
hard
I'm
to believe
glad.
this is your first novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have you written other screenplays prior to this?
Yes, I wrote Marvin was my second screenplay. It was my first feature. I wrote a comedy pilot, Till Life Do Us Part. That's about my life living with ghosts, and it's a comedy.
Oh,
And I've written two features, and I'm working on a couple of others. So
you got a few irons in the fire, Laurie.
I do. I mostly do comedy, and weirdly enough, there is a bit of humor in the book. Marvin's mirror image, who comes through into the real world to help him in his time of need, has a lot of humorous moments. So I have to kind of catch myself to not lean too much into comedy, or I'll just go down a rabbit hole of comedy because that's where I tend to go with everything.
You have to keep the right tone, I think, when you're writing
Yeah,
in any kind of genre. Uh,
yeah.
naturally, we have to take a step back about your living with ghosts. Can you explain that one?
Yeah, that's the beginning of my writing journey. Back in 2021, I discovered through meditation and working with a life coach, I was having some physical issues, and we were working through those through some meditation, and I discovered that I'm a womb twin survivor. I had a twin brother who had died before anybody, probably even my mother, didn't know she was pregnant with twins. It was just one of those things where one of the babies passes, and it's so early in the pregnancy that you don't know that you've lost a baby.
Hmm.
And even if you had a symptom, you go to the doctor, and the doctor hears the heartbeat of the surviving baby and says, "Oh, everything's fine." So I found out I had a brother, and that explained a lot of the trauma and the issues I'd always experienced all my life that I didn't really understand, and the weird loneliness I'd always had, and which went away like that the minute I found out he was there. And he's around, and my parents are also around, and I found out that I can, if I focus my attention, I can communicate with them. So that whole thing was just weird. And I was, how old was I? Like my 50s, late 50s when this happened. And I thought, oh my God, that's so weird. And I thought I should write it down. Let's just write it down and see what happens. And I started to write it. And I said, okay, I guess it's a TV show. And then I said, and everything I wrote was funny. And I thought, okay, it's a comedy then. But there's moments of heart to it. And there's reconnection with people that have passed, and family and general family drama. It's like, oh, great, my dad's back now and he's causing a commotion. So it's just that
I
kind
was
of
going to
thing.
say, it's kind of strange to me that this turned out to be a comedy because there's a tragedy underneath.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of tragedy in it. My dad, he walked out on me when I was 3. Um, he started to kind of hang around again when I was 11, but then he died. He died at 38.
ooh,
So, and I barely knew him. So I've gotten to know him 40 years after he died. And so I write about this reconciliation of a 50-something woman talking to her 38-year-old dad and trying to sort out the abandonment issues, and with humor injected, but still with some degree of heart and soul to it.
making him accountable.
Yeah, but also, but not in a heavy-handed way.
Mm.
I hate heavy-handed, just not my vibe. I'd rather people gain insight or learn things by accident.
We're going to get back to Baby Marvin in just a minute, but I have to ask, was your mother still with us when you did discover that about your twin?
No, no, she died 20 some years ago. So no, she wasn't. I don't, now I was born in the 60s. So it's entirely reasonable that she lost a baby and didn't know it. Even today, it happens. There's estimated 10 to 15% of people are womb twin survivors. A lot of them know, a lot of them don't know. So
Birth
it's
is
just,
complicated.
but it affects you, because even though it happens in the womb when you're teeny tiny, you've lost. It's the first thing that ever happened to me as a living being on this earth was to have my brother die. And some part of me always remembered that and knew it and knew that loss. But now that I know consciously that it happened, I can deal with it. And it's like, okay, this is why, when we've had trauma, we do things we don't realize why we're doing them. But if you know, okay, this is womb twin stuff, we need to dial this back. You're
Once
acting like a crazy person right now. Okay, why are you doing this? Oh, that's right. I'm prone to do this because of that trauma. So it's illuminating.
And I understand there's such a special connection between twins. I mean, it's more than even
Yeah.
close siblings. All right,
Yeah.
back to Baby Marvin.
Baby Marvin.
Let's talk about that cover. A guy with an axe. It makes an impact. How did you create it? Did
This
you get it
cover,
created?
it was the publisher did the cover. It's like, okay, here's the book, and they put the cover together. which at first I was like, oh, I've got ideas for the cover. And then they're like, let us do it. And at first I thought, I don't know, it seems like I should do it because I know the book so much better. But I think sometimes the person with on the outside has a better perspective than the person who's so mired in it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I love the cover, and it is creepy. And the only thing, it's not it's, I mean, there's some elements of horror. It's not what I would call a horror book. It's not this kid axing people all the time. That thing with the axe is just a moment that he has. He's a character. What I'm asking you to do is fall in love with this guy. Basically, that's what I'm doing. It's like I'm showing you this cover and saying, I'd like you to fall in love with this character, and I'll bet dollars to donuts you will.
Well, I'm curious because I think I've got it wrong. What genre would you describe Baby Marvin as belonging to?
I call it a psychological supernatural thriller, if I
Okay.
can call it anything a genre. When I hear horror, I love horror, by the way. Stephen King is
He'd
a
have been.
writing hero of mine. I just don't think this book quite, in spite of the cover, quite get hits that. But you might read it and say, "Oh, I think it does." There's some, the next person might not. It's kind of a tricky line for me as far as what is it. I did struggle with that a little bit. So I do definitely psychological thriller for sure, and there are supernatural elements.
It's frustrating to me that these days, all writers, myself included, have to absolutely categorize our work. I'm working on a novel and I'm thinking, literary fiction, general fiction, it's not chick lit, it's female centric. I'm kind of resentful of the fact that I have to force it into categories. Or
Yeah, it's almost easier to just say, here's, well, or read the back of the book. I did the blurb for the back, which I don't think you've seen. I don't believe you've seen that,
no, I
but
have not.
you can read that and make your own decision or talk to me for 2 seconds. What's it about? I would just say that, this 18-year-old kid, his life starts to fall apart. He's a former child star. His mirror image comes into the real world and helps him cope and seek revenge and justice. And then you can decide what you think it is. But yeah, it is hard because if I say horror, then there's people who are like, "Oh, I don't like horror."
Yeah,
And that's fair, right? But then if I say psychological thriller and somebody reads it, they might say, "Oh, I think it's horror." And so it's like a lose-lose.
it's hard. It's
It
very hard
is.
to do that. So, when you were obviously you were further ahead than a lot of writers because you already had the complete story in a screenplay format, but did you enlist the help of beta or ARC readers for your novel version?
Well, I'm trying to look for ARC readers now to read it because it's coming out on the 26th. It's available for pre-order now. But so I've been looking for some ARC readers just to give me. I've got a couple people that have read it and given me a couple of reviews. So got two 5-star reviews.
Nice.
And so yeah, it's for people like us who aren't Stephen King. We need to enlist as much help as possible in that pre-order phase to get the but yes, I'm looking for ARC readers if you'd like to be one.
Okay, I will love to read it. And I love psychological thrillers,
Oh,
not
good.
so much horror. So, well, I do love Stephen King, so I guess old school horror
It's
these
hard to
days.
say. Like The Shining, what would you call The Shining? I wouldn't call it straight horror because he's dealing with stuff in his head. I mean, there's a haunted hotel. I mean,
His stories are just much bigger, I think, than a simple horror designation. He makes points. He brings
yeah.
all these societal ills. Why
Yeah,
would
I don't want to put it in if you just say horror, that kind of puts you in Friday the 13th or slasher. And it's like, no, not slasher. If it was a movie, it would not be Friday the 13th. It would be closer to something like The Shining, that tonally, just I sometimes say Marvin is a little bit Dexter meets Carrie. You
oh,
know, I that's what I kind of throw out sometimes just and I hate doing comps. It's one of the worst things too.
if you were querying a literary agent, that's exactly what you'd have to have, though.
Yeah.
The absolute comps, they want them to be recent. So
Yeah, and it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's hard enough to write a book, but it's the trying to get, I'm so blessed to have James in Dark Anthem. I had met James a couple years before, and that's the secret, I think, to getting a publisher is just meet people and keep in touch because you never know. One
how
of the
did
people you've met decides to become a publisher.
how did you meet James?
I met him through Roadmap Writers. I was going through their writing program, and he was doing a class on pitching, and I was pitching him actually my pilot, and he was teaching us how to do that. And then at another point, I he and I met to read the script for Baby Marvin because I wanted some feedback, and he just loved it. And every time I would talk to him after that, he'd say, "Oh, I got to see Marvin on the screen. I got to see Marvin." And I was like, "Me too, man." And then eventually he said, "Write the book." And I said, "Wait, I don't know how to write a book." And then I said, "No, don't ever say you don't know how or you can't, because yes, you can."
Mhm.
And so
And
now here we are.
you read books, so you know how to write. I mean,
Exactly.
you know
You've
what's
got to be a
involved.
reader. If you're a
Yes.
reader, you can be a writer.
Now, you said your book is going to be available for purchase on when?
It's available now for pre-order, Amazon and Barnes and Noble, but coming out. The publication date is May 26th.
Okay, and we will have links to everything in the show notes. I want to talk about some of the amazing promotional videos you have about Baby Marvin on social media. And coincidentally, you have your own production company called Dem Teeth Productions. Tell me about
Demteef.
that.
Demteef is, first of all, it's just me right now. But Demteef is named after Frankie, my pug, because of those little teeth. And whenever his little bottom teeth would show, I'd go, "Oh, dim teeth." And so I said, "Oh, I'm going to name my company after that." So right now, it's a one-person shop, and I make marketing stuff for my book. But eventually, I want it to be much more. But my son Christopher has been just absolutely amazing. He's let me take pictures of him, and I've been able to turn them into videos. And this cover, my publisher had said, my editor, she said they showed me a couple of the covers, and she said, "I pushed for that one because it looks like your son." And I said, "Thank you, Betsy."
Nice. And you got a free model for heaven's sake with Christopher.
I mean, and he's willing. He's a great kid. So and he's the one that he was in The Wizard of Oz when he was about 4. He was in a little stage show. And just to make he was a munchkin, and just to make him kind of pop on stage, I took lipstick, made red dots here and on his nose, and all the moms loved it, and so they did it with their kids for the munchkins. And I just remembered that a few years ago when I was thinking about writing a horror movie. I thought, that's going to be something, a kid who had this kind of cute makeup as a little person, as an entertainer, and then grows up, and then the makeup comes back in a bad way. So yeah, that's where he was born. It's even hard to to trace it back 100%. But yeah, Christopher was definitely pivotal for the whole thing.
I hope Christopher appreciates the fact that
He does. I want to make a bestseller so I can write him a nice check, you know?
well,
He's,
when you're invited to the Tonys to go up and accept your award for best screenplay, you're going to have to bring him.
I will have to bring him as my date. I'll have him
Yeah.
put the dots on too, because that'll be cute. He'll come over and I'll say, "Chris, can I make a video?" Yes. And I get the lipstick out and put it on. It's like, "Okay, mom."
Yeah, that you're going to have to pay him back with the plus one. Uh,
Yeah.
but the promotional videos, I mean, they have special effects, they have a narrative. Where did you learn to do all that?
Oh, TikTok's got its own whole thing that you can use. You just upload some photos and it creates these things. It's amazing. Some of them I put my own music in there. Other times I just let the app, it's like, okay, I kind of like this sort of a feel and just plug it all in. So I can't take a whole lot of credit other than for the photos, and what I choose to put in. The
But
app
they
is
look
really
great.
great.
They really caught my attention.
I'm
Uh,
glad.
what are you going to write next, Lori?
I've got a script called The Meat Department. It's based on my twin sons, Christopher's older brothers. My one son works he's the meat manager at a grocery store, and my other son's going to go to law school. But it's about twin brothers, fraternal twins. One's a meat manager in the Poconos, the other works for the government in Washington, D.C. It's a comedy, it's a political comedy, and the two of them join forces to bring down the federal government
Yay. Oh,
from the meat department in the Poconos. So, and it's a comedy and it's pretty freaking hilarious, I gotta say. I love that one. That one I really want to see get made.
is it
So,
a feature film?
yeah, that's a feature. But
Okay.
I think it could also be a series. You have to be in that mindset when if an exec's like, "Oh, is this a feature or a series?" You could say both. Just say both. Never say, "Oh, I think it can't be a series." Of course it can. Yeah, it can be a series. 5 seasons. Yeah. Always yes. Yes, yes, yes. And then worry on the back end about writing all of it.
Yes. I got that advice years ago. And I never say you can't do anything when if you're
Yeah.
hired into some new job. Say yes and then figure it out quickly.
Exactly. Don't ever oh, do you think this could go past 1 season? Yeah. Sure.
Of course.
100%. Yeah.
Well, Lori, like you, I am located far away from Hollywood. I've written screenplays. I am nowhere near the entertainment industry, and I can't rub shoulders with people who are the decision makers in the entertainment industry. Does that ever feel discouraging to you?
I in this day and age with the Zoom, it doesn't. I think 20 years ago, I would have probably found myself, I would never have gone to California. It doesn't appeal to me. But I mean, we live a couple hours from New York. So that's sort of kind of close to it's not Hollywood, but we moved up here and I was going to mostly just pursue acting. So the writing thing just came later. I think we're 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 so benefited by the technology and the ability. James is my manager. He's in LA.
Ah,
And he said, "Can you get to LA for something?" I said, "If I need to come to LA, I can come to LA." But not having to live right there is helpful, and I can write anywhere.
I did go to LA, and every other person there had a screenplay they were trying to sell. It
I'm
was
sure.
so overwhelming. And the quality of life did not appeal to me. I never realized how much of a Midwesterner I was until I moved to LA. And then it was,
Oh, yeah.
wow. But I enjoyed it, and I ended up writing a novel about a very frustrated screenwriter who, went a different direction. Can we talk a bit about your acting career?
Yeah, I mostly did some stage work here and I did a couple things in New York. My big claim to fame is I was in a play on the same street as Kevin Kline was
Yay.
and Ed Harris. So I was on the wrong side of the street. They were on this side of the street. I was on the other. I was like, but walking past a marquee with Ed Harris and then going to do my play, it's like, oh, that's not so bad. It's not the worst thing in the world.
No, not at all. That's
Yeah.
exciting. Are you still doing that?
I haven't done any acting since I started starting the writing thing, but I mean the goal is I want to play myself in the sitcom. I'd love to do that. I mean, who better?
Is there a role for you in the Baby Marvin story?
There isn't really, no. But I'm sure I can get in there as an extra, just walking down the sidewalk or something,
No,
or
no, 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 no.
stick myself in a diner.
You need to make
Look up.
yourself a producer and then you get
Yeah,
press. Then you make
it's like
some real money.
that would be pretty good. Yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
it.
I mean, extra is good too. Uh, what advice do you have for other writers?
My biggest advice is just don't quit. I I got I got no, 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 no. And the script I knew was good. Just, even James at first, he didn't say no, but he wasn't ready to take me on as a client. Getting to know him, keeping in touch, he saw my work ethic. He saw how I could take notes when he read the meat department and said, "Hey, let's try this, try this, try this." And I did it. And so don't quit, get to know people, and just keep in touch. You don't have to be constantly badgering people, but just find ways to keep in touch. Oh, there's that guy I had met at the whatever event, and he's going to be speaking at this. Why don't I just Zoom on that? There's so much on Zoom. There's so many free things, and there's so many ways to meet people. You meet people, and also meet people on the parallel. You don't have to meet everybody that's above you. Meet people that are here with you because you might think, well, what can he do for me? He's in the same boat as I am. But you'd never know because then that person might get a break and then they remember you. And it's like, oh, I don't have that script, but my friend's got a script. You got to take a look at it. And just, it's about being persistent, not quitting. I stay positive. I have to just because it's my nature anyway to stay positive. I always know everything's going to work out. My best days are ahead of me. That's how I roll. I recommend it, even though it's not for everybody. But yeah, just don't quit. It's like that cartoon you see of the guy he's digging for gold and he quits, and then you see the gold's like an inch
Oh,
deeper down.
yeah.
That's just the biggest thing.
I think the hardest part, I mean, you've already accomplished the hardest part. You're getting published.
Yeah.
But after that is promoting the book. And I know you're active on social media, but is Dark Anthem Press going to help promote it as well? It seems like that's the big stumbling block for all writers.
Oh yeah, we are going to meet, I think, this week and go over a bunch of stuff. We've got the spreadsheet, which I hate spreadsheets. It's not my thing. But this is about newspapers, promos, press releases, a lot of that stuff they know how to do. But I just take it in my own hands to put stuff out there, put videos, do my own videos because nobody can care more about my career than me. And at my level, again, not Stephen King. If you know him, please have him give me a call because I'd love for him to read Baby Marvin. But, it's up to me to do so much of it and to at least, like, I reached out to you because I found you on there and I said, I love her. She looks like fun. I want to talk to Maureen. And you were gracious enough to talk to me. So,
Glad
but
you did.
but they also found another podcast for me to do. And so it's collaborative, but we're also both out there just hitting the pavement.
I am putting vibes right out to the universe right now. Stephen King, you need to read Baby Marvin and write a foreword to it. Right.
That would be okay with me. A
Yeah.
Stephen King forward, I would not turn down. Stephen King, I'm your hugest fan. You know what that means, Stephen King, especially you do. So, not like that, but
Oh, wonderful. I'm so happy for you.
Thank
I've
you.
talked to a lot of people who are struggling or first time and having trouble getting going, and you are just, you've got some momentum, Laurie.
I feel like it. Yeah,
You're
I love
inspiring.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
Well, I'm just grateful that I got to talk to you, and I hope I can talk to you again sometime.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll tell you when I've got the forward from Stephen King, I'm going to give you credit too for that. So, and I'll be in touch with you about reading the book and being an ARC reader because I'd love that.
yes, please. I would be happy to, and I would love to have you back because you've got so many projects going on. I'm going to want updates. And
Yeah.
I do want passes to your movie premiere.
Oh, yes, you will get a pass. Now, I will give you I'll give you a small part in the movie, but I will tell you it's in 1968, so I don't know about that hair.
oh,
Even this is not period hair. We'll put a couple wigs and you and I'll walk down the sidewalk and Baby Marvin and we'll just tell everybody what's going on.
it's hilarious that you said that because I'm an actor too. I do
Yeah?
mostly stage plays, but I've done like some independent films as well. And I decided, oh, get crazy colors in your hair. And then I forgot that a week later I had to play a judge. This is not judge hair.
It could be these days. I mean, come on,
No,
it could
not
be.
what the director had in mind. So, whew, did I have to go and get myself a wig very quickly that was a little more solemn than this. I walked in, he was like, what?
That's what's happening, ma'am.
Yeah, I like a little color in my life.
Well, I
So
think it's great. I'm just saying that we will have to tone this down for the Baby Marvin movie.
I'm happy to do it. I'm an actor and I understand hair and makeup and costuming and all that. 1960s had some cool styles too.
They did, yeah. So we'll get you taken care of.
All right. Well, it was lovely talking to you. I knew
You
I would
too.
have fun here.
Oh, me too. I was like, I love this lady. I can't wait to talk to her.
All right. Best of luck. I hope Baby Marvin is a big seller and you get that movie made too.
Thank you.